And today we are hanging out with Bishop Mosa Sono. We were supposed to have the bishop. We told you guys last month. We couldn't have him last week because we were broadcasting in Durban, and we've invited him to come to studio. And I'm so glad he's here on his birthday. So it's a special moment for us, and I hope it will be a special one for you as well, Bishop Sono. Welcome to 702. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and thank you for having me. And good morning to all the listeners of 702 and all those who join you online as well.
Yes, we are live on YouTube, so there are people that are watching this conversation live there. If you've just joined us, you can go check out the 702 YouTube page as well if you want to watch this conversation live. So, first of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
What do you normally do on your birthdays?
Oh, I think the first thing I do in the morning is to really thank God for the day.
Yeah.
You know, I think the older you get is the more you appreciate the gift of life. I think life is a gift, and that you are healthy, strong, and things are going well. Of course, navigating all the ups and downs of life is the first thing I do. Secondly, of course, I thank my wife, who's I live with. You know, we are only two now. Our children are not at home with us. And, well, sometimes they take me out. Sometimes I go for some special events. Sometimes I'm just at home.
Yeah.
But it's a day, frankly, filled with a lot of gratitude, Clement. To be honest with you.
I heard that you play golf.
Yes.
And you played quite regularly. I was in a meeting with somebody who was telling me you often play with her husband just the other day. And I wanted to know, is he that good? You must ask your husband. She said, I'll ask my husband.
Well,
I'll come back to you.
No, I think the reason they didn't tell me is because I have to pray for my golf.
Wait, what's your handicap now?
I think I'm a 14.
That's good.
Well, if you say 14 is good, I think then maybe I'm good then. Yeah,
I'm 18.
I mean, it's only 4 difference. And you know how it is, Clement, right? Depends on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about golf. That's the thing
Depends
about
how you are. But I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's helped me a lot, really, to deal with de-stressing.
Yeah.
And just, having a time to connect and fellowship and take my mind off work. It's said I found that out late when I was already much older. I dealt with a lot of issues in my early days of being a pastor, dealing with my mental wellness, emotional wellness. I just didn't have an outlet at all, and I didn't know how to do it. You know, and Ronaldo from that background, Clement, where, it was like, if you're really a child of God, there's worldly things you don't do,
Golf,
you don't watch sports, you don't do golf, none of that.
Yeah.
Until I heard one of the ministers, Dr. Cho, who's passed on now, talking about how it helped him health-wise. And I tried it, and somehow I enjoyed it. And I realized I've distressed quite a bit. I think I'm a bit better than what I was in terms of handling myself. The emotional part of us is the most difficult for us as pastors, I think.
Yeah.
And the mental wellness.
That's so fascinating. And I want us to touch on that much later, because I always talk on the show about how because there are these people we put on a pedestal in society, we think they're not human. And I think we make that mistake a lot, even as congregants.
Right.
I think you're a pastor, you are somehow this angelic creature who is not human, who doesn't get sad, who doesn't get distressed, who doesn't stress, but actually you are a human being. You just are armed with a framework to know how to respond to that.
I was telling somebody yesterday, actually, that we don't have a gift of living the Christian life. We only have the gift of preaching. We live life like everybody. And there's no special grace to us, given to us by God. So if you don't equip yourself and help yourself in any natural, normal way like everybody. And I think that's one of the things that leads to us crashing out as leaders, getting burned out, us sometimes not dealing with things well emotionally and having crisis in our lives. Someone calls it self-leadership. It's it's the hardest. It's easy to lead others. It's very hard to lead yourself.
Yeah.
It's the most difficult.
Have you always wanted to be a pastor?
No.
What was your vision when you were growing up?
My late father was an incredible school teacher, and he made me fall in love with teaching. because of the way he taught, the way he cared for the young people. Those days when there was corporal punishment at school, my dad would never punish any of the students, and they never even called him teacher so-and-so. They called him Ntate Sono. That's how affectionately they called him. And over time, I got to meet some of the people he had taught, and I just fell in love with teaching. So I was going to be a teacher all my life. From primary school, I wanted to be a school teacher. And it all changed in 1979.
You became a different kind of a teacher.
Well, yes. And I often say, I think I was right all along.
Yes.
Maybe I just didn't know that we teach in church,
Yeah.
Muruti.
Muruti is so, and I say teacher because when I don't think sometimes as pastors you pause and think about the impact you have. So I come from a village in Falbak in Mpumalanga. And the first time I came across you, I didn't even know about Grace Bible Church. But I remember there were these clips that they used to play of your preachings.
Wow.
And this is when we were growing up. This is like back in Mpumalanga. And I used to listen to those clips. And one day I was at Rema. This is now much later when I'm working. And I think you were preaching at the time, standing in for Pastor Ray, who wasn't well on the day. And I remember thinking, this man sounds familiar. And I went and I asked my brother about the clips. And he says, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy we used to listen to. I'm saying that because I got a message from someone who's from Angola as well, who says they've been impacted by your teachings. Like, how do you pause and think about that sometimes? Like how much you penetrate beyond here?
Sure, Clement. I think it's as when people give feedback, to be honest with you. I think I've become more aware of it much more later in my life. I think one went into this just to try and serve the best you could. I've not been one who has been really great at maybe journaling everything, checking the track record. I just was one who went into what I did to try and do the best that I could, serve wherever I could. It's only now, years later, that I'm becoming more aware of that. And I must be honest, it's very humbling, Clement. I must tell you the truth. It's very humbling because, when you never set out to necessarily be number one, the most whatever, but at least I know when I did what I did, I tried to do my best, and give my best at it and have people help you to be your best. And I think it's only now I'm starting to be more aware, and I'm very grateful. But it also says to me the level of responsibility is more. To me it says it makes me aware of the criticalness of what we do and how we must be much more serious, careful, more committed, and understand how much it impacts people's lives. And I'm humbled to hear that you're listening to my clips years ago.
Oh no, your clips were popular.
Wow,
they were quite popular. Also, you have this unique voice. I remember just listening as I listen, what a unique voice as well. Like, you do have a unique voice.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. No, but let me tell you, my dad actually told me that when he was alive. He actually told me that. And I don't know. I listen to me. I don't like the way I sound.
Nobody likes the way they sound. I don't like the way I sound. Okay, so we're going to play some music. I've got a tendency of when I enjoy conversations, I can talk and talk and talk without playing music. I don't want to make that mistake today. When you are not listening to gospel, what are you listening to? What is sometimes the person you go to?
Yeah.
Music that still speaks to you.
Let me talk about the genres. Let me talk about the genres. I listen to all genres mostly. Yeah. I love jazz.
Mapiano
I listen to. Oh yeah. Although I must say, I don't like songs that have bad lyrics in them.
Yes.
I'm a bit sensitive to that in whatever genre.
Yeah.
But I listen to all genres, by the way. And I like all genres.
Yeah.
All genres. I have a very healthy appetite for music. Everything. Afro soul. Yeah. I listen to all of it because I come from a home that loved music. My late dad loved music and he listened to music very broadly. So I consume all of it.
I was told
gospel music being number one.
Of course. Yeah. I told you like Lyra as well?
Oh, I love Lyra.
Yeah.
She's just incredible.
She is.
Yeah, and Zonke, Bonke, I just love them. Yeah. Look, we have a number of musicians in our country who are some of the best. Anywhere I go in the world, I tell them, you guys, we have some of the richest music ever in this country. because also it comes through our cultural differences and the style, the way it's written, and just the way people present themselves. So I feast a lot on the entire spectrum of the music in South Africa, which is really good music.
All right, so I'll start us off with Zonke Chigizinto. Love me. Yeah. Yeah. Can you sing, Bishop?
Yeah, I can.
You try.
They say I can sing. I don't know. You sing quite well, eh?
Yeah, I should come join the worship team.
Yeah, you must come sing for us.
I must come
sometime.
lead worship. Okay, so that's Zonke Dika, and I've got some WhatsApp voice notes coming on 070 702 1702.
Clement, I wish to wish Bishop Mosa Sono a happy birthday. Many more years to come, Pastor. You are such an inspiration. You have stood the test of time, starting from the time when you were still in Mufolo, and in your humble beginnings, you have remained humble. May God continue to bless and keep you. May He also continue to bless your wife, Osgege. She is such a blessing, humble human being. I love you both, and may God richly bless you and your children and your children's children. And may He continue to bless your congregation. It's a blessing just to have you under, people to be under your leadership. May God continue to preserve you, and may He prevail with His grace on your life. God richly bless you. Thank you so much. Bless your heart.
Clement and Bishop Mosa Sono, he's such a great man. Babalo in Orange Farm, he impacted me. I am where I am because of his teachings. Not just because of his teachings, also he taught us that we should rely on the word, not on what he preaches. That was his preaching. Bishop, thank you so much. Great show, Clement.
Clement, the funny thing about the story that you're sharing, I bumped into Pastor Sono when he was on King Mashabela's show, and I was just drawn to his voice. And then from there on, when the callers called in and started raving and crying and just giving him praises, I could feel Lena or no, these people were touched. Lena, I am touched myself. Ever since that day, I've been following his sermons online via the musical apps and whatnot. And I believe you me, it is one relationship that I value so much. So thank you, Babsono, for being the man that you are, and for preaching in the manner that you are, and for God touching you in the way that He's touched you, so that your message can be heard by us, by hitting people who don't go to church much. But today, Lena Seketseba Orai, or at least and happy birthday, Pastor. Happy birthday. And I thank God for a person like yourself. Amen. Moyahabo in Johannesburg.
Amen to that. Moyahabo. Thank you so much for the WhatsApps.
I'm humbled.
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah, I'm thankful to that. Really.
Talk to us about Grace Bible Church. It's really one of the biggest churches, but sometimes when we see the success, we never hear about the background story of the church itself. How was it founding it? Because we see it now as a big church, but you started somewhere.
Yes. Well, in 1982, I was sanctioned by Pastor Ray after I had worked at Rhema for a year or two. And he assigned me to go and help one of their pastors who had started a Rhema church. It was a branch of Rhema, actually, Rhema Soweto. And the pastor leading it was Andre Knutse, a young Afrikaner, Muruti, who lived in Hillbrow. Church was growing. And with the church growing and more people coming, he was struggling quite a lot with the cultural dynamics and knowing how to, reach the people in Soweto. So Pastor Ray then said that they want me to go and help as an associate pastor there, which I did do with my late friend Jerry Lichela. Then I came in 1982, served in the church, did everything, cleaning, leading the music, praying, counseling, interpreting, leading a cell group, whatever, just helped as an associate pastor. A year later, he then moved to something else and recommended that I come in as the pastor, 4th of September, 1983. I remember the day. And that's the day I started. And we were still Rema Soweto then. And then we lost the venue, had to move to Isaacson Primary School in Moroka. So we used Isaacson Primary School and were assisted by the late Principal Noche. 34 people at the time when we started, mostly young people and children, just a few adults. Nothing in the bank, because when I became pastor, there were things that were transferred to me, but there were no funds really. So we started literally from scratch. And the other sad part is that, people who had Bible college training, when I became pastor, 15 of them left with immediate effect when I became the pastor.
Oh, my
Yeah.
How did that complicate things?
It became hard, Clement. I remember when we were at Isaacson Primary School and I looked around, I realized I seemed to be the only person in the crowd who had a semblance of what church should be. Yeah. And I'm 22. I'm 22 years old at the time, and we've got a few elderly people in the church, but mostly young people and children. But Clement, I say to people, Buruti is a call. I can tell you, my brother. I say this with confidence. It's a call that comes from God. You, of course, need to be trained. You need to go to school. You need to learn. But all in all, it's a call. And when God's called you, he grants you the grace. And so I'll fast forward. Then in Isaacson, we grew from 34 people to 100 people. And then we moved to Church of the Holy Ghost in 1984. The people there were using this church on Saturday. We used it on Sunday. They allowed us to use it on Sunday. And then we moved from there to Hlengiwe. That is now 1985 when we moved to Hlengiwe, because we grew from 100 people to 300 people. And then we moved to Hlengiwe and we grew from 300 to 400. Then we moved to Homemakers Festival grounds, which was a very difficult place because it was just a steel structure with no walls. Nothing on it. We had to set up everything. That's the time when our church grew a lot. We stayed there till 2001. And we moved to the current building in 2001 in Pimville. But the background story, Clement, was we had to bring other people on board, get others to serve together, train leadership. I had to go and learn from other ministries. I visited lots of churches, including Rhema, and everything they did, from the administration to how they ran the church, and had friends like Dick Koza, who's always been helping me, and Dr. Elijah Maswanganye, who has always been my mentor, the late Mfundisi Horisami Mtembu, and of course, the late Pastor Ray McCauley. Building a church, and I like to put it this way, like anything, a church is built one life at a time, one day at a time, one event at a time. And you need a lot of help with people advising you and all of that. But that's where we are today.
So from the 34 people back there at the school to how many now?
Well, we fill out Orlando Stadium with 40,000 people by God's grace.
I mean, how is that not God?
Yeah. And that I think that's why every time I talk about it, I become emotional. Because the reality, Clement, is that there's nothing in me, to be honest, from a natural standpoint that could say stands out. I was an ordinary guy, still an ordinary person to date. Grew up, I wasn't that outstanding student in class. I wasn't one of those guys when I speak, everybody listens, and for that reason, I say this to say to people, no matter where they are and what they feel about themselves, if they do what God has graced them to do, they will be second to none. I think God uses everybody, and everybody can be the best they can be regardless of their background. Because my story hasn't been a story. I didn't come from an upper class society. I was raised in an ordinary way, kokasi, you know. And to see this today, I'm humbled. Every time I stand and preach, Clement, I become extremely emotional.
Yeah.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It's 22 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're hanging out with Bishop Mosa Sono, the founder and Bishop of Grace Bible Church. And I want to give you an opportunity as well on the line. You can call on 011-883-0702. Please be quick and sharp because there are so many calls. So I want to give as many many of you an opportunity. I'll go to your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. Let's start with, is it Dr. Elijah in Johannesburg? Dr. Maswanganye, good morning.
Thanks for having me in 702 Radio Live Show. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
and
Dr.
all your
Maswanganye.
listeners.
Yeah, you've been a friend of the bishop for how long now?
Oh, for donkey years.
And
for many years.
Yeah. That's what kind of relationship have you enjoyed with him? What is it about him you think we don't really know that much?
Well, number one, he is a credible man of God or leader by credibility, integrity, I mean character, self-discipline, self-control, and self-respect. And secondly, he is a leader. As you know, there is a leadership bankruptcy and a poverty of leadership, not only in South Africa, but globally. I appreciate Bishop Mosa Sono intelligently because I have watched him develop, grow in wisdom, grow in vision, grow in insights, grow in selflessness, grow in the spirit of a servant, you know, to serve God and his people. And because of some of these things, I respect him, and I am not the only one wishing him happy birthday. It is South Africa. It is Africa and beyond, because the wider body of Christ, we all look to Bishop Mosa Sono for additional spiritual leadership. If you attend his annual conferences or his Easter conventions at Orlando Stadium, you know, he has a message that would direct individuals, families, church, society, the business, the sporting world. He is highly inclusive in his vision.
Yeah. Oh, Dr. Maswanganye, thank you so much for that. That's like one of your spiritual fathers.
Yeah, please allow me to break protocol. Papa Nakensa, thank you so much. I'm deeply, deeply, deeply humbled. You know, Dr. Maswanganye came 1985 to our church. We had organized a marriage seminar. I was single at the time. And everything went wrong on that day.
Yeah.
People didn't come. It was raining. The sound system was misbehaving. And here's this world-renowned preacher that I've invited who came to come and preach at our church. And I remember delaying the service from starting, hoping more people would come. And finally, I gave him the mic reluctantly. And he took 10 minutes before preaching just to encourage me and to tell me I'm a good leader. I never forget that. And he wasn't staying in a hotel. He was staying at my home with my parents, sleeping on my 3-quarter bed. he is my spiritual father. I don't know what to say. I'm just dumbfounded in who he is. And I would really want to say, Kangwina Papa, thank you. Thank you even for just taking the trouble to phone and for all your words of commendation. To date, I still go and meet him and talk to him.
That's amazing.
He advises me. I don't make any decisions without talking to him, major decisions. And I'm dumbfounded.
No, thank you, Dr. Masonganye, for the call. Oh, I've got one of your brothers in Christ. Pastor Boshoff, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Bishop Mosa.
Pastor Ed.
Yeah, the birthday man is here.
This is your Afrikaans brother.
Yeah.
Wishing you a happy birthday.
Baya dankie, my brother. Baya dankie,
I
man.
love you to bits.
I love you.
You're
I
such
love
a great
you,
man
Pastor
of God.
Ed. Oh, my goodness.
And what a privilege that it is and has been to serve God with you for the last 35 years. And to see change in South Africa. And you've been a pioneer and a great man of integrity, character. I mean, anybody and everybody speaks highly of you. I really just want to wish you well on this day and say I've got the greatest respect, regard, and honor for you. You're a great, great man of God, humble, one of the most humble people I know, but at the same time, mightily used by God. You're a true general in the faith, and you are what our country needs. Like Prophet Elijah said now that, our country there's a vacuum of leaders in South Africa, and you're one of the leaders that have stood and stayed steady and strong and constant and consistent and always caring about the poor, what matters in this country. So I thank you for that. Also, thank you for opening my eyes to many things as a white South African. I believe we have a great future. I believe with people like you, we will rebuild this country and see poverty broken over this country and see the blessing that we've always trusted God for, a united South Africa. So your voice is key, and I really just want to pray that God keeps you many, many, many years and that God magnifies your voice, not only in South Africa, but all over the world. But our country needs you. And thank you for staying true and strong and being a true brother. I love you.
Love you too.
I respect you. I hold you in high esteem.
Love you too, Pastor Art, and thank you for being a good friend and for a genuine man of God. You know, Clement, I say this. I believe to the core of my heart that what Jesus Christ does and what the church does is really the hope of the world. Pastor Art, when we met years ago, we went through lots of clashes and arguments, but in a good and godly way, we help one another from the different worlds we come from. If there's a man I would want to be with me in battle, it's this man. And South Africa is blessed to have people like him, leaders who lead in different contexts, different areas, but who are genuine leaders and who love Christ and who are true friends. You know, he's a real man. He's a real friend, a true friend. When we've talked about things, we know that when we leave the room, whatever we talked about stays in the room. And whatever I say to him, to his face, I'll say when he's not there with me. Thank you, Pastor Art, for taking the time to call. I really appreciate you and I love you, my brother.
All right, let me take this one and before we go to the next song. Pastor Don Phillips, good morning.
You know, Clement, what you've got there in the studio is one of those guys. I call him a guy because he's my best. He's one of those who make me feel so normal as a pastor.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't fit the stereotype, and that makes me feel so comfortable. My friend, my brother, the way I love you, the way I honor you, we're not repeating the same, we're expressing our hearts, feelings
I love you.
on the role that we have played. You know, I always tell you this. He doesn't want me to call him my leader, but he is my leader. When we started those many years ago, I would watch you from a distance, the way you handle yourself, the way your disposition and how you communicate things. It would make me feel so proud to be an upcoming black pastor in South Africa, even in those days.
Goodness.
You know, you became a beacon of hope to us on what you did with such humility and such dignity. You and Sis Gege leading a church in Soweto, leading us in the nation. You know, my friend, I love you with all of my heart. I want
Pastor
you
Don.
to know
Amen.
that, you know, other than Orlando Pirates doing so well.
Yeah, I know. Tell them
keeping
that
you
we are
in
pirate
mind.
supporters in forward. To tell them. Pastor Don, thank you for calling.
Say this. You know, Bishop Mosa, I love you, my brother. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Pastor Don. Thank you for taking the trouble to phone. These are my two friends. You know, Pastor Don, you know, when he was serving as an associate pastor in the church, he's leading now Mtata. I got invited to go and preach there. And we just connected and we became great friends. And it's been incredible to see what God's done through his life. One of the incredible leaders in this, our lovely country. Clement, our country has got great leaders, my brother. And Pastor Don is among those. And both these pastors who've called, these are friends. These are people that in a good way, But most of all, these are people that there isn't anything I couldn't talk to them about.
Yeah.
And even Pastor Dick Koza. You know, these are people I know if I miss it, they'll tell me straight.
Yeah.
If I have an issue, I can confide in them and talk to them about. Thank you for calling. Hey.
Yeah. Let's give you a break.
Good morning to you, Clement. Good morning, Bishop. Just wanted to send a huge shout out to you both, Clement. Send a shout out to Bishop as well, my Bishop as well. You know, just want to say thank you and happy birthday as well. Happy birthday, Bishop, and huge thank you and a huge shout out to you and Imam Keke for all the teachings. We'd like to thank you for your faithfulness to the calling and to the mantle. Thank you for taking on your mantle and doing all you do with excellence. Thank you for your teachings. Thank you for allowing us young people to serve, you know, for not sidelining us, for also putting us in the front lines and also allowing us to be part of the vision of growing to 1,000 churches. You know, as teenagers, 20-year-olds, you still allow us to serve within the various departments, and we just want to thank you for not sidelining us. We really appreciate it as young people. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and happy birthday to Ntate Bishop. We really thank God for his life. We are privileged that in our generation we get to witness such leadership, one of integrity and servant leadership. You know, he's a true definition of servant leadership for me. My question to him is, because yes, wahola, and I think you start pondering on the issue of legacy and where the church is headed, because I get, to put it plainly, it's like moa yang go gaufi versus moa thing. So what does, like, how is that conversation in his head? What does it make him anxious when he thinks about one day I will not be here? What will this church look like? How do I prepare for that time when that time comes, even though I won't be here?
Thank you so much for that. I'll give the bishop an opportunity to respond in a moment. Let's quickly take Felix first from Centurion. Felix, thank you for holding. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
Sure.
Morning, sir.
Yes, Bishop, in short, I would like to wish him a happy birthday. Clement, the man that is sitting in front of you is a man of humility and humor. Some of us, he builded us. We are where we are because of him. For the past years, through his teachings, his preachings, when we got to Grace Bible Church, we were average people. Now, some of us, we are holding positions in the society through his teachings and preachings. If I can quote one quickly, he once said, you need to know and identify the voice of God. If we can do that, you can able to do that, you will never miss a chance. I would like to say, happy birthday, Bishop.
Thank you so much.
I'm your son. You know me very well. I wish you many, many years to come.
Wonderful, Felix. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
that,
much,
Felix.
Felix.
That question about legacy?
Yes, I started 15 years ago to work on the passing of the baton, as we call it in church circles. It was a very difficult conversation to have 15 years ago because it's kind of hard to think about the church and talk about you in the past. But I guess there's a rich history we have of looking at how other churches are doing. And of course, in the charismatic movement, we've seen some of the churches when that time comes and there was no preparation done. So I first sat down with our leadership to talk about it. We had to look at things like what our constitution says. I've put a plan in place of training the next gen leadership. As you heard one of the comments of the young people, we were very intentional about the involvement of young people in our church, them leading whilst we are still around, whilst we can also mentor them like we've been mentored by both Pastor Ray McCauley, Dr. Maswanganye, and the like. So it's an ongoing process. I think the hardest day for me, not necessarily from the willingness part, but from an emotional part, will be the day when I finally step away. However, I've already started working my way out of certain roles and to also define the role of what is called presiding bishop, because there's going to be a presiding bishop post my era. And what does the presiding bishop do? Of course, it's about oversight over the entire denomination, if you want to call it that. It's about training of leaders. It's about mentoring other people. It's about certain programs that are exclusively done by the presiding bishop. So we are starting to define that even as I speak. And I'm letting go of a number of other responsibilities to focus on those responsibilities that would be ascribed to the presiding bishop. I think the day when I finally I'm letting go bit by bit, certain things I'm no longer doing. However, there's a day when I'm going to finally step away. I think that's going to be the most difficult day. I don't intend to retire, to be honest. I just intend to change the role that I play. But I will remain connected to Grace Bible Church. I mean, this is what God led me to till the last day of my life on this earth.
Bishop, thank you so much for making time. And I'm grateful that you came to us on your birthday. And I hope that we've celebrated you. We use this feature to really show our appreciation for people that have really made a difference. And you have yourself. You have impacted people beyond just the people who come to Grace Bible Church. There are many of us who learned from you through your teachings that we find on recordings. So this was our moment of saying thank you for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Clement, and thank you for the kindness of everybody. And I pray God bless you all. And I also pray that in all that God's done in my life, may God do the same in your lives. Because as I said, I'm no special person. It's just how God can be such a good God. And I think today is about the goodness of God. And I'm thankful to have seen that and thankful for all the commendation and the praise. And I say praise and glory goes to Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.